What's up, YouTube? Today I took a drive down to Cottonwood Trails Gold Camp in southern Indiana, and I'm gonna do a little bit of a weekend trip down here and see if we can't find some gold. I'm out here right now on the creek just checking it out. Never been down here, so first time. I got to get the lay of the land, but it looks like a promising spot. You can see where some other people have been doing some work. Somebody must have did pretty well there. They got a nice big hole. Looks like a lot of cobble, a lot of gravel in this area, so that's definitely really good. Hear good things about this place, so let's get after it and see if we can find a little bit of gold today. We're gonna try a nice shovelful from right there. I'm just gonna get that over here into the water, pan it out, and we'll see how we're looking as far as black sand and see if there's a little bit of gold in there. There we go, we got that reduced down pretty easily. Does look like there's some black sand in there. Here, it's oh yeah, there's some decent black sand in there. Pretty promising for being so close to the surface. I didn't go too deep. All right, I'm gonna knock that back and we're gonna see if there's anything in there. I did see one little piece of color in there, probably too small for the camera to pick up without the magnifier, but it is possible that I didn't have my pan clean enough. I thought I had it cleaned out pretty good. It is possible that that was in there from the last time that I was out prospecting. So tell you what, I'm gonna take another shovel scoop deeper and we're gonna see what a second test pan looks like out of that spot. A little bit deeper out of the same spot. Got a nice good helping there. I'm gonna pan that out. We're gonna see how it looks. Quite a bit of black sand, but still no gold in that second one. So I'm gonna find a different spot. I'm gonna dig down and we're gonna take a test from another spot on this big old gravel bank here. This must have been a promising spot. Looks like somebody's moved quite a bit of material out of that to make that big hole. So I'm gonna walk a little further down. We got some tailing piles here and all that. Might just be one of those deals where I gotta dig off some overburden, get down deep and find a good pay layer. There's another spot you can see. You can actually see several spots, big depressions where people have sat and worked for a while. Looks like as I'm getting further this way, it's getting sandier and sandier. I don't know if that's another gravel bank down there on that bend or not. I'm not sure how far the property goes here, so I gotta kind of get the lay of the land before I really decide where I'm gonna set up at. I took a little scoop over there from where my shovel was at, and I did end up with a piece of color over here, if it will show. Probably not without my finger next to it as contrast, but I do have a piece of color in that pan. Verified gold, so that's good. That's not the smallest piece I've ever seen, so that's encouraging. I'm going to dig a little bit more out of here and just see what we're working with. And then I'm gonna try and dig down to that layer a little bit further down. It looks like maybe I'm about a foot and a half deeper where I just dug out of than I was out of that hole that I dug out of and tested out of last. Well, we do have another piece of gold in that pan. Another small one that I'm having a hard time picking up with the camera, but that's two pans in a row with a piece of gold in it. So I am gonna actually come over, instead of digging so far up on this gravel bank that I was digging on, I think I'm actually gonna come more over close to where this water is, and I'm gonna sink a hole right in here and try and get to that same level that I am over there, and just close to it at least, and just see how that does for us. I'm digging a hole in that spot that I said I would, right over next to the water's edge there. And I got my first decent sized piece there. You can kind of see it in the black sand gleaming a little bit. So I think that might be a decent spot. I'm gonna keep digging down and see if there's any more that goes along with that. It looks like it might just be that one big size piece in that pan, but that's the biggest piece I've found so far. Yeah, I don't see any more of the fine stuff in there, but that piece on its own isn't too bad. So cool, we'll keep digging, we'll keep panning, and once we're settled on a spot, we'll get the gold cube set up. That might not be till tomorrow morning. Sun is already starting to set. It's we're probably about hour away from sunset at this point, so we're just gonna keep testing around and see what we come up with. Okay, I've been doing some more tests out of that hole, and I've been finding a few more pieces here and there, mostly smaller stuff so far, but that bigger piece has proved to me that there is bigger gold out here to be found. But it's starting to chill off, and I got to finish getting unpacked, so I'm going to get back up to where I got my tent set up, and I'm going to start getting ready to settle in for the night. And tomorrow morning we're going to get out here, we're going to set the gold cube up, and we're going to run a lot more volume. So might do a little bit more testing around in the morning, but for the most part I think that volume is going to be the name of the game here to find the gold. It's a nice peaceful setting out here, kind of on a low traffic dirt road, and got a nice wide open spot here to pick out your spot to camp. There's good access down to the river right over here, which I went down the hard way, then walked down a little bit and found the easier way. So anyhow, sun's getting down there pretty good. I'm gonna go finish getting unpacked and think about getting something to eat. We'll try it all again in the morning. Okay, it's the next morning, and now that it's starting to get warm out here, it's actually turning out to be a beautiful morning. And we're gonna get out here. The owner, Jim, he's got us onto a good spot down here. So we're gonna get set up down there. I'm just getting my equipment hauled down right now. And we're gonna get onto some good gold today. I can feel it. All right, we're all set up here at the gold cube. Gonna start getting to shoveling some material. We're gonna find some gold. All right, we got our first scoop here. We got some better water flow today, thankfully. So ought to be able to clean our cobble a little bit better, clean all our gravel. A lot better than I did the last time I was out at Athens. That water flow, I'm surprised I caught gold as low as that water flow was. So the sandbar that I'm set up on, or gravel bar I should say, I'm told that the first 18 to 20 inches of it produce really well. So I set the cube up here on the edge of it, and we're just going to start working some of this material back here onto this gravel bar. And after a little while we'll do a clean out and see how we're doing. So far so good. Shaping up to be a real beautiful day. This digging here isn't too bad either. I'm in a pretty easy area to dig. Gold cube seems to be working good. Got good flow across all the mats. And I am definitely paying attention to the rocks that are getting cleaned, because there are some beauties here. And some of them are really cool fossils. There's really cool pieces of banded shirt. So there's all kinds of cool goodies to find here in the tailings. So I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out. Oh yeah, everything coming through that trommel is getting nice and clean. Oh, you can see a lot more water coming through that trommel now that I'm in a spot where my pump is working a little bit better. Awesome. Well, we have a pretty good hole going so far, and this material is running really good to the cube, so I am really enjoying this. And from what I can see, when I let it run through for a minute, we are collecting quite a bit of black sand. I'm really hoping that we're on to good gold here. Jim put us onto this spot, and I would say nobody knows better than him when it comes to his own gold camp. So I can't wait to do the first clean out and see how we look. Still going good. Getting quite the hole dug here. Thinking about the next 10 minutes or so, I'll at least do a top tray clean out. I'll probably do a full on clean out, and we'll see if we're on to any gold over in this area. Got some other people out here doing some mining as well. One running a dredge and the other one running the gold cube with trommel, just like I am. So just a few gold lovers out here on a nice Indiana day finding some gold. Oh yeah, these mats are nice and loaded up with the heavies. I can see a lot of black sand in there. We're gonna go ahead and shut this thing down, clean out into this tub, get it into a pan. We'll see how we're looking. Well, in that cleanup we ended up with about a dozen to 15 colors, quite a bit of black sand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig down quite a bit deeper and see if deeper yields more and bigger gold. We've opened up that original hole a bit, and going deeper there. Everything seems to be running pretty good so far. Getting quite the tailings pile going out of the other side of the cube. Running across all kinds of interesting rocks. So we're gonna keep feeding this bad boy, and in a while we'll do another clean out and see if we're still on the gold, or if we're ending up maybe with some better gold the deeper we're going. All right, I got this hole opened up quite a bit here. We're pretty deep, and I'm gonna do a cleanup here in a little bit, probably here in a few minutes once I let some of the lighter stuff wash out, and just make sure that we're onto some good gold. And if not, it's still early enough in the day. It's probably about mid-afternoon. I could still set up and find a new place before the end of the day, and be ready to be in a good position for tomorrow. But I've got a good feeling about this, especially now that we've dug down quite a bit deeper. We've moved quite a bit of earth. So I guess we'll see what the cleanup looks like and go from there. There's our cons from the clean out. I'm gonna go ahead and pan that out into this tub here for a minute, and we'll knock it on back, see what's in there. Seeing a few pieces already, and that piece there that's in the black sand really stands out nice. So hopefully there's some good gold underneath that last little bit there. But there's definitely gold in the cleanup for sure. Okay, well, we ended up with a little bit over 20 colors in that pan. So we're definitely getting a little bit better the further down that we go. So I'm gonna keep on that hole for now. I'm gonna keep going deeper and expanding it out wider. And volume's just gonna be the name of the game over there. And then tomorrow morning, I'll probably move to another location just to try out a different spot while I'm here. And we'll run a different hole tomorrow somewhere. Got another crystallized fossil here that I found. Saying there's all kinds of cool rocks and fossils that we're running across here. So definitely be on the lookout. Keep an eye on your tailings pile. Keep an eye on your high banker, your grizzly bars, or your trommel, whatever you're running. You're gonna wash all kinds of stuff clean that you're probably gonna want to take home with you. Sweet. Got down quite a bit deeper in that hole. I got down to where I was starting to find some bigger pieces of cobble, which I really hope is a promising sign. So right now, I'm gonna do one more cleanup on this. I'm going to let that run for a minute, clear out some of the lighter stuff, and then we'll do another cleanup and see how much gold we're on. And then after, what I'm gonna do is I'm probably going to stay in this general area, but start digging around the front side of this little gravel bank that we're on. Okay, there's our most recent clean out. Just gonna pan it into this tub. Let's see what's in there. There's a few nice pieces in there from that clean out. That one wasn't too bad. I'm sure I washed a few more back. Let's see if I can get that in the light. See that a little bit better there in the light. So some decent sized pieces in there. Not too bad. I do think that I may go back to digging out of that hole later, but I do think that I am going to dig a little bit on the more northern side of this this gravel bar that I'm on though, and see if the results over on the other side are any better. I moved my stand over just a little bit. That hole was starting to get a little bit close to the legs of my my stand for my liking. So I'm going to get that all set up and level for the night. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to break for dinner. Tomorrow morning when I come out, I'll work on this side to start. I'll see if this north side of the gravel bar is any better. And then if it's not, I may go over there and see if there's some better gold over on that side. So still plenty enough time to try a few different spots out and to try to get on some really good gold. So far it hasn't been too bad, not too bad at all. Found some decent pieces and definitely happy so far, but I know that there's some decent sized gold that comes out of here, and I would be really excited to find a pecker or even just a nice flake. So all right, about to break for dinner, and we'll try it again tomorrow. Okay, we're back out. It's the next morning. There's my hole from yesterday. Today, I'm gonna start off going right in here. See if there isn't some better gold over this way. And then after a limited run over here, it's still early enough in the day. We're all talking that we might go further down the river and try a spot down there, see if we can't do a little bit better. we're finding decent gold here, and definitely getting better the deeper we go. But just want to try a few different spots out here since none of us have been out here, and we'll see how this first cleanup goes, and we'll go from there. All right, first scoop of the day. There we go, we're off to the races. There are definitely some cool rocks here, that's for sure. Doesn't really show up as good, but there's definitely some banding, some layers in this one here. Looks kind of cool with it all wet. I found this big old ball of clay in the hole that I was digging out of. Not typically the layer that you would normally see, and it's got gravel all throughout it. So I'm gonna bust this bad boy up and run it onto the trommel. I cut a decent amount out of the gravel bar there. I'm about to do a cleanup, and we're gonna see how that turns out. I have it all cleaned out into this pan. I'm just gonna go ahead and pan out into the tub again, and see what we're working with here. Got about 10 pieces in that cleanup. None of them terribly large. Not too bad considering I didn't move that much material, but I'm actually going to take and run my last few hours here down a little bit further. Some test pans down there earlier we're doing a little bit better, so gonna see if that side of the creek, because it kind of splits and goes off on either side of this big gravel bar that we're on here. We're gonna see if this side of the creek fares any better. Okay, we're all set up down here in this other area now, so I'm going to start digging, shoveling into the trommel, and we'll see if this area fares any better. Alright, I'm cutting a nice channel right across this gravel bar here, and it's pretty easy digging, thankfully. Just feeding it right into the trommel, and the trommel's eating it just about as fast as I can feed it. Here in a little bit, I'll do a cleanup, and we'll see how this spot is faring for us. Definitely some cool fossils down here too. This whole place is just loaded with all kinds of awesome things to find. Alright, I cut my channel in as far as I was going to, and now we're ready to clean up. I've let this run for a minute or two, and I can see some good black sands built up in the trays. Haven't really looked too hard to see if there's any gold in there. It's kind of hard to see into the cube that well. So we're gonna get that cleaned out into that tub, get it into a pan, and we'll see how we did. I'm walking this back, and so far we're doing really good. It's hard for that to show up, but I'm seeing a lot of color in this pan. So let me get this finished up, and then we'll get it all concentrated to the corner and see if I can get a better shot of it. Got quite a bit of color over there in that corner of the pan. I didn't count them all out, but I would say probably somewhere around 50 pieces. I washed a bit back as well. So that's definitely the heaviest cleanup I've had so far. I think I'm in a good spot. I've got about another hour and a half to 2.5 hours, depending on how late I want to stay today. So I'm just gonna stay right in this area and keep shoveling material and feeding that trommel. All right, we might be at our natural stopping point here. My battery, I think, is getting pretty low. My flow is getting a little bit less, and it's having a harder time clearing the mats out. So I don't think I can run too much more, especially if this battery is dying on me as fast as it looks to be. But we got onto some good gold. I got that hole opened up quite a bit more, moved a whole bunch more material, and that was definitely the heaviest clean out of that first channel that I cut. So I have every reason to believe that this is gonna be a really good clean out too. We're definitely gonna get this back home. We're gonna run it all through the cleanup sluice. We'll get the total gold into a pan and see how it looks. The campsites here are pretty nice. They're kind of just wherever you choose to go. There's a few fire pits set up, and then all the camping here kind of overlooks the river. The river's running, or the creek's running right over there on the other side of those trees. So they've got some other stuff down there. They got the bathroom down there, and a little like Saruka station set up down there. We're back home now, and here are the concentrates in the bottom of this bucket here. maybe a couple inches in the bottom of that. So a decent amount of cons to go through, but there's a bit of big stuff in there that I need to classify out, and some lighter stuff in there too. So it shouldn't be too bad for us to go through. I'm gonna get this tub filled up here and go through the cleanup buddy. We're gonna go through this big classifier here, that coarser one, and then we'll go through this finer mesh classifier. So we'll have a couple different classifications to run through the sluice, and then we'll have some bigger little pea stones and gravel to kind of go through. So hopefully there'll be something in there. I wouldn't expect it, but we should have quite a bit in the two classifications that we're going to run through the cleanup buddy. So let me get that cleaned up into a couple of pans, get the two different classifications into a couple of pans, and we'll start running. We have our two pans to run here. This finer stuff here should run through pretty quick. There's a lot less in the finer pan. So get this tub filled up with water and we're gonna get to running. Got the tub filled up with some water, got some jet dry circulating in there now, and we're actually gonna switch it up today. We're gonna go with the finer material first, since there's less in there. I'm just curious to see, once we run that through, how we do. I gotta be careful of that dripping. I don't want to get any of that, any of those concentrates lost, dripping off the bottom of the spoon there. So might mix a little bit more water in with those cons, because that's kind of a little bit solid on the tip of that spoon there. Thankfully the mat isn't already loaded up yet, because I knew it was going to dump like that. Thankfully the mat was nice and clean, so it should have been able to take all that material at once. If it was filled up a little bit more, that would have caused me a little bit more grief, I think. Okay. Slow and steady. I'm going to get a little bit more water in this pan, get this into a slurry, and we're just going to feed this sluice slow and slow, and we'll see how much gold we end up with out of that finer stuff. So far, so good. I can see gold showing up in a few of those pockets. Not sure if the lighting is good enough to really show it, but in that pocket right there, there's a few pieces that are floating around. It's going to be the smaller stuff that's in this pan, but it looks like we're going to clean up pretty decent and maybe have quite a bit of it. I can kind of see quite a bit of it as I'm spooning it out, so pretty hopeful about that. Can't wait to get this cleaned up and see how it looks. I had a lot of fun that weekend down at Cottonwood Trails. My buddy Jake invited me out to go with him, and I got a pretty busy schedule, but I was like, what the heck, why not? Sounds like a lot of fun. I met Jake out at Gert's place earlier this summer, and we were talking about planning a trip to go out and do a little gold prospecting. So with the year kind of coming to a close, I figured what the hey, make the time, get out there and have some fun. And it really was. It was a good time. We had a lot of fun. We actually met another guy from Michigan down there too. Somebody I'd met last year at Gold Prospectors of Michigan event out at Athens. So got to meet up with McCormick and hang out with Jake for the weekend, find some gold. Can't complain. And even though it got down pretty chilly at night, I brought my cold weather sleeping bag, so all in all it really wasn't that bad. And during the day it was about perfect. Can't ask for better weather than like mid-50s during the day. Put an extra layer on in the morning, take it off when you start to shovel, and you're good to go. And Jake actually has a YouTube channel. I highly recommend you guys check it out. He's just getting started out, but he's doing some Michigan gold prospecting, and he's actually a really cool guy. He does some gem cutting and faceting as well. Really knowledgeable about geology and quite a few other things as well. But his YouTube channel is called Deep North Adventures. And he actually will have a Cottonwood Trails video up on his channel as well. You can check out his video and see how his cleanup did. I think he might have been on to a little bit better gold than me. At least his tests were quite a bit better earlier on. So if you feel like checking his channel out, again, that is Deep North Adventures. Okay, we've run through all the finer stuff now. So we're gonna let this bad boy run for a minute, and I'm gonna clean it on out. We're gonna wash that mat out. We're gonna wash that mat out into that pan, and we're gonna see how much gold is in there. It was looking, as I was getting down and spooning the last little bit out, it was looking pretty decent, so I have high hopes for this. Cut the water flow to that. We'll move our tailings pan out of the way, which I actually see a little bit of gold in the tailings pan, so I'm gonna have to pan through that at some point too. I'll probably go through that after the fact, but there is a little bit of gold in there that I could see. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go through that. I always go through my tailings anyway. So let me set that off to the side for now. We're gonna get this into the pan there. We're gonna put that in there like that. Thank God we got some jet dry in this water already. There we go. Give that mat a good washing in there. Make sure we get everything out of it. Put that mat back in there to run the next classification. Okay, we don't have too much material in there, so let me just get some of this water poured off. I'll get it all concentrated over to one side and we'll walk it back. So far, so good. I'm walking that back and I am seeing a lot of shiny in there. So let's get the rest of that knocked back, and we'll get a penny up next to it for scale. We'll get it all concentrated in one spot and get the penny up next to it and see how it looks. Okay, see if I can get that to focus in there. That's quite a bit of gold there. I got to admit, I think that that's better than what I thought I was going to end up with. And this is just a finer classification. I'm excited to see what's in that bigger stuff. Hopefully some nice pieces in there. So, yeah, I did not even bother to try to count that. That is more than I learned to count to with my 4th grade education. No, I'm just kidding. But it is a lot of gold. So, anyway, we got, here's the tailings that I panned out. We ended up with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe about 8 to 10 small pieces that it missed. All in all, not too bad. That's a pretty good catch rate for how much gold was in there. And I was running that mat pretty heavy. Admittedly, I get a little impatient and probably don't give it as much time to clear as what I should. So, okay, we're going to get the cleanup buddy fired back up and we're going to go through that other classification now. Okay, time to run the bigger stuff. Start feeding that through, low and slow. Same as before. Just do a little bit at a time there. And when it looks like it's going to drop a big old clump off, I'll just go back for more. Get a nice big wet scoop. I'd rather have it slide off the spoon in like liquid form and be drippy than big old clumps dropping down. Okay, well, might put on some tunes, run some of this material, and we're gonna see how we end up here in a little bit. Down to just the last couple of spoonfuls here, and I am starting to see some chunky little pieces down in there, so I'm excited to see what we're gonna get cleaned up out of this mat. And I think I will pan through the tailings on that one really quick too, just to see what we're missing, how it's faring with the bigger pieces, this little cleanup buddy here. So I'm gonna get these spooned in there, and we're gonna do a cleanup and see how we look. All right, moment of truth here. Let's get this tailings pan out of the way. And we will clean up into this pan here. Get that mat nice and cleaned out there. Give that a good run through there before I set it off to the side. And I always like to check it over, just make sure I don't have any big chunks stuck in there. Wishful thinking. Okay. Okay, let's get that all drained off, concentrated into one side of the pan here. Let's knock it back and see how it looks. I'm walking it on back and there is a nice piece up in there. I can't wait. There's some chunky stuff over here on the side, and then that piece is really nice. I don't know if that came out of that last area that I was in. I didn't actually pan through my last cleanup, so it's hard for me to say exactly where that came from, but I don't think I've seen that piece in any of the pans that I had panned out on site. So cool, we'll get the rest of that walk back real quick. I'll get those tailings gone through really quick, and we'll see what we're working with here. There's our tailings. We had 4 pieces in there. Not too bad at all, actually. 2 of the pieces are pretty small, and then 2 of the pieces were medium-sized. So we had really good success over here, though. I would say that that biggest piece is not a picker, but it definitely is a feeler. It's got some profile to it. That's probably one of the nicer pieces I've found. I'm really happy with that. So because I found that bigger piece, I wasn't going to go through this tonight because it's a work night, but I tell you what, I'm going to take the extra minute and I'm going to go through this really quick, just get it into a pan and walk it on back and see if there's anything big in there. Unfortunately, there was no bigger gold in that pan, but there were a few nice garnets that I saw, so I'll have to go through that at a later date for garnets and gems. There's another look at the chunky stuff. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Got that not quite picker, but definitely a feeler. Like I said, that bigger piece. That's pretty nice. I'm happy with that. And then coming back over to the one, I took the penny over to that other pan for reference. But a nice little pile of the finer stuff too. So all in all, it was a great weekend down there at Cottonwood Trails Gold Camp. Had a lot of fun. Found some gold. And I'll probably be going back at some point. So anyhow, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button and consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. We'll catch you in the next video. Thanks.